In 1979, two batchmates from CMTI teamed up with their mentor to create a small engineering design bureau. Wind the clock forward 44 years, and you end up with the engineering manufacturing titan that is Ace Designers. How on earth did they pull that off?
India is the third most sought-after manufacturing destination in the world and has the potential to export goods worth $1 trillion by 2030. Contributing 17% to the nation's GDP and employing over 27.3 million workers, the manufacturing sector plays a significant role in the Indian economy. Companies such as Ace Micromatic Group drive India's potential to emerge as a global manufacturing hub. Ace Micromatic Group is India's largest machine tool conglomerate. It has a market presence in several countries across Asia, Australia, Middle East, North and South America, and Europe. Shrinivas Shirgurkar, along with Benedict Machado and their mentor Ashok Sathe, started the group in 1979. The firm intends to provide customers with a one-stop shop for all machining needs. The 43-year-old group's journey from a small garage as a design consulting firm to a manufacturing leader is an inspirational story. The company has 8 technology centers and 70+ offices covering the length and breadth of India. Overseas offices in China and Germany under Ace Micromatic International cater to the sales and marketing requirements of customers worldwide. Building on its expertise in machine tool manufacturing, the group has further diversified into manufacturing components for various industry segments. In addition, the group also offers products to enhance customers' productivity through real-time machine monitoring. Shirgurkar's simple lifestyle and philosophy of honesty and learning from the firm's ethos, he leads by example in using expertise and innovation to building a business block by block.
And now I'm delighted to be joined by the founding director of the Ace Group, Mr. Shrinivas Shirgurkar. How do you do, sir? Very nice to meet you. Welcome to $1 Billion Idea. And we're here on your beautiful campus on a beautiful day in Bangalore, and I'm excited to hear your story. But let's start, sir. Let's start, Shrinivas. So you grew up in a small town originally, and then you moved to Bangalore as a young man. You start to study like everybody else, and then because of peer pressure at the time, you get into engineering. You join the Machine Tools Institute, and then all of a sudden, in 1979, you start this business. What were you thinking?
Okay. See, in the CMTI where we were working, we learned the the fundamentals of machine tool design, and we were very knowledgeable about that. And we could conceive machines into a machine from first principles. And that's where we got the confidence that can we start a consulting company where we do design for others as a service.
Okay, so you have the knowledge, you see the market opportunity, but it's interesting your founder group. Tell us about that, because you have one mentor and then 2 peers. How did you come up with this founding structure?
Mr. Myself, Mr. Machado, my other partner, Mr. Benedict Machado, and Mr. Ashok Sathe, who was our mentor, and he was our head of our department in CMTI. And when he had started something earlier, he mooted this idea, why not we look at a design consulting company? So we said, okay, let's come out and start.
So he's kind of he was like a mentor in a way.
Absolutely.
And was it helpful to have this structure of 2 batchmates and a mentor? Did that work well?
Yeah, the mentor was not involved in day-to-day activities. The 2 of us were involved in the day-to-day design right from this. So we were the kind of a front of the organization.
But at that time, did your father say to you, what are you doing, Shrinivas? Go back to the institute, you're crazy?
No, he supported me, saying that let's do it.
Good, so you've got family support, a bit of security. So, but you start by offering a design service. How did you make the leap from design into manufacturing?
we made designs for nearly 24 different machines, and then none of them really hit the market as a product line regularly produced. So that kind of frustrated us. So we had to look at the alternative opportunities. So we did some consulting service for solving customers' problem and also even reconditioning of machines. And then at some point, and we had got an opportunity to make special machines for a company called Car Mobiles Limited for engine valves. So we made those machines, showed in the exhibition, and others started coming in. Then we realized that we have to make machines and not just designs.
Okay, but that client whose help they needed on valves, was that a big, when you think about the history, was that a big breakthrough moment?
Absolutely, that was a big breakthrough moment. Otherwise, and they were auto component company, well-known auto component company, and once we started showing the exhibition, other auto component companies started coming to us.
Okay, so you've had your breakthrough, but I'm thinking about how did you finance all of this? You know, you need a supply chain, you need capital equipment. How did you do that, Shrinivas?
The customer, for example, the Car Mobiles, they gave us a large amount of advance. You could use that money for getting supplies from others and all that. And we were operating initially from a garage and a small place, so it was not costing us much. And we were taking help of others. So honestly, and from bank, hardly we took money.
Was that because of, was that a value that you all agreed at the beginning? Because presumably you could have taken some kind of leverage.
We are kind of a thrifty people and conservative approach. So we didn't want to take over too much risk also. And our customer was willing to support us because he didn't have much alternative either.
Okay, but these values, where do they come from? Did they come from your founder? Did they come from you? You know, you're a young man. Where do these values really come from?
Our mentor was, he had a little bit better experience with us, and he used to guide us on some of these aspects. Mr. Sathe.
Mr. Sathe, okay.
Then we could make it work. And of course, it is gradual. It's not that.
And what about the whole ecosystem? Because at that stage in India, the market was very underdeveloped. How did you think about that?
Initially, we used to get from whatever ecosystem that we had in the area. But eventually, when we started manufacturing in larger quantities, we had to build our own ecosystem. So we set up 2 or 3 companies. One is to make large parts. We bought some of the best machines in the world and then produce parts for us and for others also. And similarly, we have actually a total ecosystem to make small parts, accurate parts. We also have now a foundry to make right from, so we have kind of vertically integrated.
See, we have been a part of this expansion of this machine tool field, especially the turning machines, the market which we are in. And today we can proudly say, having a large market share in this segment, we are there in almost every automobile as a part inside that automobile. More so in other general engineering and any sector or any segment that you talk about. So we understand our strength in these segments, and we also understand our responsibility that we are holding to make India blossom into a very strong engineering power.
It's interesting because the one company has spawned many companies,
Yeah.
yes.
So we actually requested some of our old colleagues in Central Machine Tool Institute to join us to run these companies, and they also owned a certain share of the company, and we supported them from our equity. And we built this ecosystem in different areas, large scales, medium scale.
Okay, chapter 1, the business has been founded, you've got your first client, you've built a kind of the starting ecosystem. In chapter 2, I'd love to talk about the mechanics and how you learnt any of this. Can we do that?
Yeah.
So Shrinivas, the number one question that we get asked on Billion Dollar Idea is, how do people learn the business? So you and Mr. Machado, he does design, you do business. But how did you learn about the business?
One of the incident in our life, we realized that if you want to learn anything, buy the best book on the subject, study it study the fundamentals and apply it in your context.
And do you think, because you studied engineering, and engineering is a very methodical, process-driven discipline, did you find that helpful when you applied it to business?
Absolutely. Everything has to be done in a right way and in the systematic way.
Yeah.
So one of the most important things, you have to learn the fundamentals. That's important on any subject.
Yeah.
Whether it is finance, or it is marketing, or whether it is branding, or any subject.
Okay, but when you apply this, tell us about how, so for example, take something like branding. You know nothing about branding at the Institute. How did you think about branding? How did you learn the principles of branding?
So I bought a book on the branding, and one of the things which I learned is that everybody will buy your product if your name comes first in your mind to the buyer. So for that, whatever needs to be done, whether it is taking part in exhibitions or whether it's certain advertisements or word of mouth, so you have to communicate this information and communicate with values and with your what you bring into the table, and that we apply.
And you had, so you're very much, your brand, it's a bit like the Mahatma, his life is his message, right? Your brand is the life of your business, really.
Absolutely.
It's about the time you've taken.
We make, say, 8,000 machines, and we create 16,000 jobs every year, and we employ 5,000 people. So many families are there. We have to make sure that company keep on growing. Otherwise, how do you make their lives easier?
I think I've had a wonderful journey working with Ace Designers. The best part of Ace Designers is its culture. It's an inclusive culture and collaborative culture that the management brings into this entire workspace.
We could talk about many subjects, but let me turn the tables a little bit, because you make this all sound very easy, Shrinivas. But there must have been times when it was difficult. When were the hardest moments?
Okay, we have over 43 years, we have always been profitable, except for during the COVID years. So we have really not felt the shortage or something. But generally we are very conservative. We borrow just enough what is required, and we do it in a way that we can afford it. And we are very sensitive about, and our whole objective is large scale. So we have to see that we sell our machines at a reasonable price, and that's where we have to keep our costs low.
Okay, in chapter 3, I'd love to talk to you about your learnings and expanding around India and what you think of the future of India. Should we do that? Yes. Okay, come sir. Shrinivas, you're the first guest we've had that operated in the 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way through to today. When you look at India as your prime market, has it changed beyond recognition, or is it the same thing with slightly different flavors?
No, it's continuously been changing, become more prosperous, and there's been lots of reforms, and so demand has gone up.
This is a leading question, Shrinivas, but across the span of India, where have you found the learning curve steepest as a market?
I think the market is something similar in all the places, particularly in the area that we are. So the needs of auto industry is same whether it is in different parts of the country. So we haven't found it much, and since we have got local people there, so we have an idea of what it is.
When you started, the black cats of the industry were in Germany or Switzerland or Japan. You know, they weren't in India. Did you ever feel intimidated by the German Walla or the Swiss Walla or the Japanese Walla?
We actually got an opportunity from Germany. We made some special machines. So we started selling machines to ENA bearings in Germany, and our experience there was so good that we said, let's expand in a different part of the world. In fact, we went to the US also. And after 9/11, there was difficult to get visas, so we had to wind up and come. But we are selling in China, we are selling in Europe.
We try to build a good relations with the customers. We try to go in depth to understand their problems. And that's why more than 60% of our customers comes back to us for every order. The customers are there with us for 30, 40 years who keeps ordering machines, different type of machines. The technology has changed, their products have changed, our products have changed. But in spite of that, we can see the customers coming back to us for the solutions because we work together with them to understand their problem deeply rather than just to give again as a one-word solution to what they have asked.
Shrinivas, you're bullish on India, but what do you see as the challenges in terms of getting to where we want to be?
While it is a challenge, it's a big advantage also is we have a maximum population in the country, so there's a huge market. So to build ecosystem and to build products and to be very competitive is the biggest challenge. But because the manpower costs are lower, it's perhaps manageable.
But do you see, China, where you do business, is always held up as an example of as a country that built its ecosystem very effectively. Are there things we can learn from that?
Absolutely. China, first of all, the advantage of we have our costs are much lower than China's actually.
Yeah, they are now, I guess, yeah.
30-40% lower. So we have been selling in China for last almost a decade now, and we have thousands of machines. So we have seen it there. Now, their requirements are becoming more and more sophisticated because the manpower costs have gone up.
Let's move out and we'll talk more. Shrinivas, let's talk a little bit about you, the man. Now, I'm right in thinking that outside of work, you're really predominantly a family man, yes?
Yes, you're right. I'm more a family man.
Not interested in the clubs, in the social world?
I'm not a member of any club.
And how influential has your family been on your thinking and the way you've worked?
Naturally, the family influence is very much there because all the practices or the approaches we have for our business or even our own personal lives is determined by our family practices.
And in a way, this is the Ace Group is like a larger version of your family, right? It's sort of a family business. But in which case, Shrinivas, what are the drivers of your family? Are you a spiritual man?
Yes, I'm spiritual, and more important is how do I apply philosophy in my day-to-day life? That's what is.
And give me an example of that.
One of the important idea is that you should never hurt anybody. So you should never hurt anybody's ego. The way you speak, the way you communicate should be comforting and never, put down anybody. And these are the things if we apply in our own area of work, it's of immense value.
Well, it's interesting because we haven't really scratched the surface of your business. It's a complex, large business. But what keeps coming through is this idea of the business is almost a vehicle for personal responsibility. That's the purpose.
We employ 5,000 people and they have aspirations and they expect us to be supportive, and it has to be consistent and long-lasting.
And when you look around the industry, you now have multiple clients in multiple industries. But do you find that the values you have in the Ace Group are unusual when you look at other businesses?
It is not that everybody is so passionate about the values that we follow. But we are passionately following value system of ethical running and partnership with our people, and we feel responsible.
And it stood the test of time.
And it has helped us so far. We sleep well.
That's some of the philosophy. On a very personal level, I know you love to read. What do you read outside of business literature?
Something about philosophy, spirituality, I read about a lot. And more important is to follow the gurus who have said something and apply that, more important, not just knowledge.
It's interesting listening to you because whether it's whether it's Mr. Sathe or whether it's your actual guru, you've been lucky with your gurus.
There's a luck. There's a luck element.
But you have to be receptive also. Okay, and then on a more light-hearted side, do you like to travel?
Yes, I do. And we spent time with our family and children. We go out, travel for some nice exotic places, go on a cruise and spend time together.
So you're enjoying the fruits of your success in that sense. And just one question related to that. How important is money to you? How much of this is about money?
I wouldn't like to waste money, and I can buy things, but that doesn't make any sense to me.
What's exciting is you started this business with a very young family, yes? 40-something years, and this has all the chances of being a 100-year business. What a magnificent achievement. Congratulations.
And it's quite remunerative also. We have done well.
When I come away from here with one thought, sir, with many thoughts, but one big thought, which is the remuneration is as much spiritual as it is financial.
Absolutely.
Right? That's the yin and the yang. That's the essence of Ace Group.
That's right. It's the same thing with our other partners, Mr. Machado. Mr. Sathe was again very generous. He gave away most of his wealth to charity.
Yeah. Shrinivas, you are a complete inspiration to our guests on Billion Dollar Idea. Shall we end with some quick fire questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you sitting comfortably?
Yeah.
Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Religion or philosophy?
Philosophy.
IIM or IIT?
IIM.
Whiskey or wine?
I don't drink any of them.
You have no vices. And my final question, sir, the ocean or the mountains?
We're going more to ocean.
Well, we wish you, as you continue your incredible voyage, happy sailing, and may the wind be in your sails. Thank you, sir. Shrinivas is a remarkable guest on longevity alone, but what I think is truly remarkable about this business is that from day one, and from the heart of the man, the whole thing has been built on the central value of responsibility. Responsibility for the people, responsibility for the ecosystem, responsibility for everything that Ace Designers engages with. I think that's truly his billion-dollar idea, and it's a really remarkable one. I'm Jasper Reid, and join me on the next episode.